Hello everyone and welcome back to another Minecraft update video. It is Snapshot 19w41a and this one adds in the honey block as well as the honeycomb block and also a whole bunch of other cool features. The first thing I want to kick off by talking about is the splash screen for the main menu. We've got a new background for this and it's been tradition now for a while to give a new background to each update. So this is the one we're going to see for the 1.15 update and it includes a bee getting up close and personal as well as a beehive and also lots of flowers. So here it is my friends, we've been waiting since Minecon to see these two new blocks. We have the honeycomb block and the honey block which you see behind me. This one was showcased as being super sticky, stopping you from jumping. We're going to go through all the properties of this block real soon, but first of all, we're just going to check out how these blocks work when you place them down. You can break these ones instantly. They kind of behave just like slime in that regard. They're slightly transparent and quite distinct compared to slime. It's not just a straight texture copy from one to the other with the color changed. It looks really good. I'm actually really fond of this texture right here. The other one that we got is the honeycomb block, and I'm not as keen on this texture, but I do think it's a very nice pattern that you could use in builds in many different ways. Now when it comes to breaking this, I've tried it with lots of different tools, and it always seems to break at the same speed, and then I noticed that the hoe didn't actually break any of its durability damage. But anyway, you can also break this with your fist, and I discovered a bug. If you stand close, you don't get the breaking animation. If you stand further back, you do get it. So you can see breaking it with my fist, we get the blocks back, but there's no way to break it faster, it would seem. So then let's check out crafting. We don't actually need to open the crafting bench because they're both 2x2 recipes. So if we go in here and type honey, we can see the honey block is made with 4 honey bottles, and the honeycomb is made with 4 pieces of honeycomb. And just in case I failed to make it obvious, this block is purely decorative. It doesn't have any other functions that I'm aware of. It doesn't emit light or do anything fancy. It's simply decorative for building. The new blocks also have sound effects, so I'm going to shut up for a second. You can also walk on this block as well. So when it comes to this honey block, let's get the redstone questions out of the way first. This isn't terribly exciting. I believe what we're seeing here is these blocks behaving exactly like slime blocks, and they work together as if they were the same type of block. But here's a quick demonstration. You can see the same block limit for pushing attached blocks applies to the honey as it does the slime. Also, if we go and put some glazed terracotta over here, you'll see that those blocks do not get attached to them. Now when we use them together, it's pretty much as if they were both slime blocks, right? So they can do this. If we go attach that over there, we'll just push that out of the way and bring it back. And if we attach a couple of blocks up the top, there's basically no different behavior here. This is just another texture that you can use now instead of using the green of the slime blocks. It also kind of means there's another way to get these blocks for building contraptions in survival Minecraft. Now you can get them from bees and not just slimes. But as far as adding any new type of interaction between the two, I couldn't find anything. Oh, and you might be thinking you could use this to overcome the 12 block push limit. Well, that's not the case, as you can see. There is no way around it using a combination of the two. Turns out I was wrong. There is a difference between the two when it comes to redstone, but this is just because of how the player interacts with these blocks. So the player will actually stick to it when it's moved by a piston. So notice how we move backwards and forwards each time I flick the lever. If we hop over to this side, you'll see the behavior is different. We actually just stay in the same spot. So think of flying machines. You'll now basically have a cockpit for the player simply by using a slime block for them to stand on, and they get attached to it. Now down here we've got a little area in which to check out another behavior of this block, which is the inability to jump off of it. We can't jump up onto this block, but we can walk up onto a slab, and we can also go to the same height with snow layers. This right here is actually the same physical height as a slab, so we can walk up onto it. This is actually technically lower than the slab. If I walk to the side, you can kind of see that in action there. Bobs down, it bobs up. But this height right here, anything higher than a slab, you're not going to be able to jump up onto and walk onto, unfortunately. I say it's unfortunate, but really it's a good thing. It's a new feature for a new technical block, and maybe we can take advantage of that with contraptions, but more likely it'll be useful in a minigame or something like that. Anyway, here is another feature of this block. I am going to stop flying by double tapping space, And when we're falling here, you can see we actually stick to the block and slide down the side of it. Now, I've tested all of this in survival mode as well. It's just kind of convenient to show you it in creative where it behaves the same way. And speaking of all that, let's go into survival mode, because you can see that it cushions our fall damage. But notice that we didn't bounce off of it like you would do on a slime block or a bed, so this can reduce fall damage, but you also then land directly on the block and stay grounded. Okay, I want to show you a little experiment. I'm going to walk forwards and fall all the way down to the ground where we've got 1 heart of health left. And now this time I'm going to hold forward for a little bit longer, so we go inside of the sticky block, and then when we hit the side at the bottom here, it actually attaches us to the side of the block so we don't take any fall damage, which I thought was an interesting little trick. Now we're going to do the same experiment again, but this time I'm going to continuously hold down forward, and you see that we take damage and we're not able to attach to any of these blocks. However, this time I'm going to hold down forwards and we don't take any damage because we actually connect with these blocks at the bottom. So this is really quite difficult to demonstrate visually, but if I hold down forward, we've gone as far into the block as we can. When I then break this block up top, we can actually move forward just a little bit more, and then we're on the inside of this block here. So it does have another property that, in a way, technically it doesn't quite have the hitbox of a full block, as you can go in slightly to then touch it. By the way, there's another way to demonstrate this, and slime blocks don't share the same property, so I'm going to zoom in on the number that's important. You can see there 0.700. I break the block and we move in by an extra 008. This is also the same for height as well. This block is slightly lower. You can see its height is 93750. Well, there is a note on the website that says mobs and animals dislike walking on honey blocks, too sticky for their comfort. That doesn't seem to be so. The creeper had no problem following me over these blocks, and the same can be said of cows. If they're following wheat or just wandering of their own AI, they tend to go straight over these blocks, so I'm not sure exactly what Mojang intended with that. So those were the new blocks, but there are more feature changes to talk about. And before we get to them, I just wanted to say, if you're not subscribed, then consider doing so. I'll be following all of the snapshots for 1.15 and 1.16, and you can catch them here on my channel. So the Iron Golem has received a rather significant change, and I've summoned one in with no AI so it doesn't wander off while I demonstrate this to you. It works the same as it does with a regular mob. Now when I attack it, it is eventually going to get cracked and its texture will change, and there it is right there. A little bit harsh with the high contrast of the black colours there, I think, but if we keep attacking this Iron Golem, it is going to get cracked again. And there it is, so its texture has changed even further. And this is based on the amount of damage that it's taken, and we're going to get deeper into that real soon. That is the last phase of it taking like damage and being cracked, and you can actually repair this with iron ingots. So if I click on it once, it goes back to where it was before. If I click on it again, and then one more time, we heal it all the way up, and then maybe I'm able to click one more time. Yes, and then this time I won't be able to. And all of that happened with sound effects, by the way, so let's go attack it a couple of times, and then let's listen to the cracked sound. There it is, and then let's listen to the repair sound. And you can see it explained here rather clearly. The Iron Golem has 100 hit points, and give it an ingot will heal 25. Then it has 4 different hurt stages, and these are for the textures that it displays, so high, medium, low, and then none. So if it has 0 to 25 hit points, it will be in high, 25 to 50 is medium, low is 50 to 75, and none is 75 to 100. And that's pretty much it for the Iron Golem this update. There's also a new recipe for stripped wood. You can now make it out of stripped logs, so any type of stripped log will now be able to make stripped wood. A new command was added into the game which relates to spectator mode. The name of the command is spectate, and then you have 2 parameters. You have a target and then the player. So if we have a look there, what are we going to target? And then which player is going to spectate that target. It's pretty easy to understand. You can see here though it says Assumer is not in spectator mode. So if I activate this in creative, it doesn't actually do anything. So if we go into spectator mode, I have this command on my clipboard. We execute it, and I wasn't close enough. There we go. Now I'm spectating the cow and seeing the world from the cow's eyes. So there is a small change in this update which can actually be kind of a huge deal. If you go into accessibility settings, there is now the option for sneak and sprint to function differently. You can change them to toggle. So this means, I believe, that if we were to sprint, I just tap control and then I continue to run without having to hold it down. That's pretty awesome. Now let's try that with shift. I'm going to move forward, I'm going to tap. Oh yeah, look, we're still running. Of course we are. Okay. Oh wow, so it's like a complete on-off. That's interesting. Although when I tapped it that time, it didn't actually stop me running until I slowed down again. I guess you can double tap as well, is another problem with that. Anyway, let's hold down shift, and you can see we're sneaking. Now I'm going to let go of shift. Huh, I'm still sneaking, and I could take my hands off the keyboard, and yeah. That I think is a real game changer for people who want to play differently, and it could be really useful in PvP or certain environments. I really like that that's an option now. Along with that, another accessibility change, the narrator will tell you what you see on the screen here.
Game mode, hardcore button. Same as survival mode, locked at hardest difficulty, and 1 life only.
We have another command block related feature added in this snapshot as well. This relates to the tell raw command. It gives you the ability to copy to clipboard, and the value that you see here is what we can copy to our clipboard. Now this might be useful for map makers if they want to put credits into the game that they've made. Now down here you can see it says click here. When we click on it, you don't really get any feedback, but it has indeed put the message onto the clipboard, as you can see there. So this will be useful for map makers, maybe to share links and other information and put it directly onto your clipboard. What do instant damage, instant health and saturation all have in common? They were missing their icons. These weren't being displayed. And now we can see what their icons are and what they look like, and they're pretty cool, right? But yeah, those weren't being displayed, now they are. So, minor bug fix here, but one worth knowing about. Bees were unable to interact with flowers that were on a block that was a ledge. So, any kind of block that had a drop-off on it, they wouldn't be able to actually interact with those flowers. Someone's noticed that, reported it, and it's been patched. Now, speaking of bugs, you'll find all sorts of visual ones in the game at the moment because the rendering engine is being worked on. Also, the top of this grass block looks kind of funky depending on what way you face in the world. That's really peculiar. Anyway, the point is there's all sorts of quirky stuff going on inside of the game at the moment, like that. Look at the shulker box. What is going on there? These things need reporting, so if you spot any of them yourself, be sure to head over to the bug tracker and report these oddities. And last of all, big changes to pets and teleportation. So first of all, snow layers. If a pet was on a snow layer, it wouldn't be able to teleport to the player, and the same is true of water and tamed wolves. If you had a pet tamed wolf and it went into water, it should in theory be able to teleport to you, and at some point it lost its ability to do that, and that became a bug. Now there is also a collection of blocks over here. That right there is supposed to be farmland, and you can see a whole bunch of other ones here. Pets would actually have the ability to teleport to these types of blocks, which they shouldn't be able to. And as you can see, there are quite a few of them. So they'll no longer be able to teleport to these blocks in 1.15. So you know the drill. We're at the end of the video, so leave a like if you've enjoyed it. And go down to the comments and let me know what you think of these 2 new blocks and how Mojang are doing with this update. I think they're doing a fantastic job so far, and I'm loving all of the bug fixes and new features. But this is where we've got to wrap this one up. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.